had never, ever happened before, but last Tuesday it did. Baseball's 73rd All-Star game was halted and declared a tie by Commissioner Bud Light Selig, with the teams knotted at 7-7 after 11 innings. Selig said both teams had used up all their pitchers. Now, someone is suing to force the players to return to Milwaukee and play ball. That someone, radio talk show host Dave Barber, joins us from Lansing, Michigan. Mr. Barber, thank you for joining us, sir.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Mr. Barber, I understand you're suing for $25,000. What I cannot understand, I hope you can explain it, is what in the world is your standing? How has this game, and it was a very good game, cost you any money?
Well,
how can you make a claim?
First of all, in Michigan court, we have to meet the threshold, and we have to seek damages in excess of $35,000. In all actuality, Mr. Novak, my attorney, Mr. Bankert, and I would very much like to see Major League Baseball come to us from their 30th floor office on Park Avenue and say, hey, we screwed up. We made a mistake. We're going to give you our solemn oath to finish the game before the end of calendar year 2002. We will finish the game from where it left off. I'll absolutely remove the lawsuit tomorrow.
I still don't understand how you were damaged. You didn't pay for a ticket for the game. You didn't pay 1 cent. It didn't cost you anything, did it?
That's correct. I was just sitting in my Strata lounger with a couple of adult beverages, like millions of other people watching the game. But I'm here to tell you this, and your viewers know this. Ted Williams would be turning over in his grave had his son not put him in the freezer. This is not the way. Wait a minute. This is not the way baseball or a major league contest is to end. People expect a winner and a loser. I think the American public and baseball fans worldwide were shortchanged.
Well, I disagree with you, Dave. There was a loser. It was Bud Light. Let me play you a piece of tape from Bud Light Selig, the commissioner of baseball, what he said to justify his action, then get your response.
As I quickly reviewed my options, I came to the very painful and extremely difficult conclusion that given the Philadelphia pitcher's physical condition, that I had no choice.
No choice. He couldn't let position players pitch. He couldn't let fans pitch, coaches, somebody just let the game go on?
Well, first of all, in watching that clip, my first suggestion would be a new do. He needs a new haircut. But let me tell you this. You know, here's the deal. If you run out of pitchers, that's the manager's fault. This is a disgrace. People expect a winner and a loser. This year in Major League Baseball, the average player will make $2.38 million this year in salary. You're telling me after 11 innings, they got to take their bats and ball and go home and say, I quit? Americans are not quitters.
I like this concept very much. Now, explain to me this. I'm a season ticket holder for the Baltimore Orioles. Unlike you, Mr. Barber, I pay to get in games. And
well, what makes you think I don't pay?
I go to a game. Well, you just told me you were sitting on your strata line.
Well, no, that was for the All-Star game.
All right, I go to a game, and it's a lousy game, a lot of errors, and I say, I run into court. I say that cheated me out of my money for this game. I'm suing you for $35,000. Is that what you mean?
Well, let me tell you this. We're not in it for the money. We're asking Major League Baseball to finish the game. And for those people that say, oh, it's an exhibition, it doesn't mean anything, tell that to Pete Rose, who in 1970 went around third base, right at home plate at Ray Fosse, had a huge collision and won the game at home plate. Or tell that to the late splendid splinter Ted Williams, who broke an arm in an exhibition game in the American League. Let me tell you what, I think these baseball players today are prima donnas. What happened Tuesday night is just a small example of what is wrong with Major League Baseball. They have taken their eye off the prize, the American baseball fan. They have forgotten the people that got them to where they are now. They should be ashamed of themselves. What they did Tuesday night by picking up and quitting is a disgrace.
Mr. Barber, this was the All-Star game this week was not the only major sports event of the world. Every day in Pamplona, Spain, we have the San Fermin Festival, where there's the running of the bulls. Now, several years ago, my son, who's now a father of 3, when he was a 15-year-old boy, he ran every day during the festival. He had a hell of a good time. He even got grazed by a bull, showed the wound to his girlfriends back home in Washington. Now, surely you can join me in saying this is one of the great events in the spectacles in the world, isn't it?
Well, let me just say this. The best time that I ever had in Spain was at a nude beach. There's no way I'm going to put my ass in an alley and have a $3,000 bull run at me. I make enough bad decisions in my life that could cause me pain. I'm certainly not going to do that.
I'll tell you, my son it's one of the great events of his life, and he still talks about it.
Congratulations to your son.
It's a great event, but I could have gone all night without hearing about Dave Barber's nude ass. I'm sorry, Dave, but that's just not an image I need to take home after work tonight. Dave Barber, thank you very much for joining us from Lansing, Michigan. Now, Bob, I got to ask you.
We will prevail.
Okay, an enterprising baseball heir puts his daddy on ice. A salary strike looms on the horizon, and the celebrated All-Star game ends in a tie. Well, since there's no crying in baseball, my next guest did the next best thing. Michigan radio host David Barber has filed a $25,000 lawsuit for the heartache he suffered after last week's 11th inning draw. Also with a call of his own, attorney and sports commentator Rob Becker, and back with us, radio talk show host and attorney Gloria Allred. Dave, I got to start with you. Honey, get a life. They played a tie game. Nobody likes that. What's the lawsuit about?
Well, the lawsuit is about equity and fairness. We're going to amend our lawsuit on Wednesday of this week, citing the Michigan Consumer Protection Act for misrepresentation of the facts. It is a good and service. They did, in fact, withhold a material fact. They should pay damages. We have been wronged. Ted Williams, frankly, would be turning over in his grave if his son hadn't put him on ice.
What did they withhold?
Well, they withheld the fact that they maliciously and deliberately ended the game without telling us. I think people that buy cable television, like I do, when I was sitting in my Strata Lounger watching the game, expected to see a final outcome, a winner and a loser. I think it's an absolute disgrace. I think Americans are not quitters. And although you say, Catherine, I'm suing for a sum in excess of $25,000, please let the record indicate, should we ever garner 1 cent of money, we plan to donate every bit of money to the American Little League Association.
Okay, let me ask you a question about cancellation and rain, calling for rain. We know that happens. It happens in baseball. It happens in World Series games.
Right.
You're not cheated if it starts raining, are you? You're not cheated if they have to cancel for some reason.
But those weren't the facts here. In 1961, they did indeed have a rain cancellation because of a tie score, and I think the American public could realize that and could accept that. But when the average American baseball player today, on average, annually, is making $2.38 million.
Okay.
And at the 11th inning, they take their balls and bats and go home. I think the American people are wrong.
Okay, we got to get to the other two guests, but real quickly, what are your damages? You got 11 innings worth of play.
Well, the damages are clear. They misrepresented the product.
No, what's the damage to you?
Pain, absolute loss. I wasted a lot of time. They misrepresented the product to me. I was hoping to see a winner and a loser. Baseball is not about ties. It's about winning.
Okay, all right, let me turn over here to Rob. Rob, I wanted a pony. I wished for this, I wished for that. I didn't get it. So what is this?
Well, this is a frivolous lawsuit. I mean, there's no duty that the MLB has to this man to make sure that it goes beyond 11 innings. And also, there's nothing withheld here. I mean, he's saying that there was a material fact withheld. They didn't know beforehand this was going to happen, and then when they started talking about it in the middle of the 11th inning, it was shown on national television.
Well,
everyone knew it was coming.
Said, look,
well, let me tell you what. Before he says that, I would suggest that he review the Michigan Consumer Protection Act.
Let him finish. We'll get to the law in a moment.
Okay.
Go ahead.
This was all publicly aired on TV, and as a baseball fan, which I'm sure this gentleman is, he should have known that this could happen because they were using all the players. Joe Torre has started this thing of inserting all the players so that everyone gets in, and you're going to have a problem. Now, I to some extent sympathize with this man about the fact that they ended the game early. I don't think it should have ended early, but that doesn't mean that there's a legal wrong here, and that doesn't mean that anything was withheld. And I'm also a little bit wondering why this statute applies when the game wasn't even in Michigan.
All right, let me ask Gloria about this. You got a ticket, certainly a fan buys a ticket, or maybe has to pay cable fees to watch the game, and they expect, unless there's a cancellation or a rain out, that a game ends with a winner and a loser. But you got to have some harm here, don't you?
Well, yes, and actually there may be someone striking out, and that might be the person who's filing this lawsuit. Yes, most times you would expect a winner or a loser, except for an act of God, namely rain or snow or some other unforeseen event. But this is an all-star game. This is not like the regular game. And are the managers supposed to imperil the health of the pitchers or any other player by extending the game? I think that's an argument that they're not required to do that.
Ms. Alred, let me suggest to you, let me remind you about the year 1970. For many of the viewers of Court TV right now, the year was 1970. Pete Rose came around third base. The bottom of the 12th inning, he had a huge collision with Ray Fosse at home plate to score the winning run.
Do you think that was a good thing? Do you think that was a good thing that he ended
would you please extend me the courtesy of finishing?
Thing.
Let me tell you what. Tell Pete Rose that it's an exhibition. Tell Pete Rose the game didn't mean anything.
Yeah, I will tell him just that. He ruined Fosse's career for no reason.
I would have more respect for Major League Baseball
Rose is the type of guy
if they're going to give a sham, if they're going to create a baseball game that's a sham. I would rather have Major League Baseball just say, we don't want to do it anymore. We're afraid of these pansies, these prima donnas that are making $2.38 million a year.
You're forgetting that this was an exciting ball game which everyone wanted to watch. It was one of the best All-Star games in years. It was 7-7. Torrey Hunter made a fabulous catch, and everyone was riveted to the screen. Now, sure, it would have been better if it ended with a win, but it was still a great game.
Well, guess what? Tell that to the late splendid Splinter, who in 1946 broke an arm trying to win an exhibition game.
I don't buy that. That's great. If he wants to do that, that's fine. But the point is that has nothing to do with this case.
And real quickly,
was that a gay-bashing remark you made?
Oh.
Were you comparing somebody to pansies?
Oh, no, guys. We're not going into that subject at this point in time. But, Dave, real quickly, as a final thought, this game doesn't mean anything except it will be recorded in the books, right?
Guess what? If it doesn't mean anything, if that's going to be the attitude of Major League Baseball, what happened last Tuesday night is just a small symptom of what's wrong with Major League Baseball. Attendance is off this year again, 5%. Viewership of the All-Star game was off 9%. Baseball has taken their eye off the prize, the fans.
All right, well, I'll tell you what, the last time they had a strike, we all thought we'd walk out on them, and we didn't. Everybody went right back to the tube. Dave Barber, Rob Becker, Gloria Allred, thank you all.
Another person who we felt played a role, like it or not, was Dave Barber. Barber is a very controversial radio talk show host on WFDF AM 910 in Flint. How controversial, you ask? Let's not describe him. Just listen to him and his comments. Dave Barber, on air.
Show P.T. Barnum was frickin' right. You know, there is a sucker born every 10 minutes. Why in the world would somebody want to build a basketball arena in downtown Flint? Look at the place. I mean, the place looks like it's been nuked, for God's sakes. And Hoodrow Stanley says in his infinite wisdom, this shows that people are really interested in investing in Flint. Who is he kidding? 251-9333 is our number. Rick in Flint, good morning. You're live on WFDF. Hello.
We will address the nature and the appropriateness of Barber's comments in a bit. First, let's get the so-called race card issue on the table. Mayor Stanley says the race card was played against him. To throw even more fuel on this volatile situation, WFDF radio talk show host Dave Barber went on the air on election night and told his listeners to, quote, sell your houses and move out of Flint, unquote.
Just tell you something. I'm going to give you the best bit of advice you've had in a long time. Put your house up for sale right now, because in 4 years it's going to be worth less.
I know, but it's paid for, you know.
Well, then get your money and run. Get your money and run.
Was what Barber did a form of common-day demagoguery?
I don't think that's demagoguery. I don't think it's demagoguery at all. It's a radio... Listen, but I don't lose perspective, too. It's just a radio show. I mean, I'm not finding the cure for frickin' cancer. You know, I'm not Mother Teresa. I do a radio show. I hope what comes out of the speaker is entertaining. But that doesn't qualify as demagoguery. I don't think that's demagoguery at all.